Now, from NBC4, Laurel Erickson, this is News Conference.
Election Tuesday. California voters confront political dead heat, a couple of lopsided blowouts, and shock and awe election propaganda.
Vote yes on 86.
Prop 89 is bad.
Vote yes on 84.
Propositions that could change California law 13 ways. Sex crimes, bridge building, clean energy, housing, redevelopment. Special interests spending $400 million to sell voters, but voters seem dazed. That means giant pet projects get green-lighted by a handful of Californians. How do voters slip out of the snare? The fast talk, big lies, and loud rant on TV and radio. We've brought on board election scouts to take you on a virtual jungle tour before you parachute into the voting booth. Good morning, everyone. Our election safari includes NBC4 political analyst Sherry Bebich Jeffy and Robert Stern, Bob Stern, of the Center for Governmental Studies. But first,
some girls do not enjoy the relationship with their parents that you may have. Prop 85.
Should California require underage girls to tell parents before they undergo an abortion? Prop 85, it requires physicians to notify a minor's parent or guardian 48 hours before any procedure except in medical emergencies or with parental waiver. And yes, on Prop 85, Jessica Chastik, she is a part-time professor at politics at Cal State San Bernardino. And no, on 85, Vince Hall, Director of Communications for Planned Parenthood of San Diego and Riverside counties. Welcome to you both. Jessica, let me start with you. You've got to set the stage. Why should Californians have been asked once before on this issue, why should they change a law that's been around, or a situation that's been around forever, and require parental consent on abortions?
Sure. Proposition 85 is actually one of these rare moments in the abortion debate when reasonable people on both sides of the issue can agree on a measure. For instance, if you're pro-life, as I am, it's easy, it's obvious that you should vote yes on this. But the fact is that the overwhelming majority of pro-choice Americans also believe that because parents have a fundamental responsibility to attend to the health and safety of their children, that they also have a fundamental right to know when their child is going to undergo a serious medical procedure like a surgical or chemical abortion. The overwhelming majority of pro-choice Americans also believe that when young girls are the victims of statutory rape or sexual abuse or exploitation, that crime should not be covered up by a secret abortion that is often coerced, but rather attention should be brought to that and the perpetrator should be punished. And Prop 85 will help to facilitate that.
Do you have any numbers on how many young girls have abortions without their parents knowing?
Well, as a matter of fact, in the state of California, we do not keep any statistics on abortion rates. But what we do know from Planned Parenthood's own website is that less than 50% of the girls who seek abortions, underage girls, notify their parents. The other parents who find out because of a third party informing them. And the number one reason that's given by teenage girls who are seeking abortions for not telling their parents is not fear of harm, but it's a desire to not disappoint their parents or to upset them, which is a perfectly reasonable fear, but is a very bad foundation for public policy.
All right, the pit bull on the other side is waiting. Vince Hall, tell us why she's all wrong.
Well, the truth of the matter is that in California today, according to the San Jose Mercury News and the Los Angeles Times, over 70% of teenagers already involve a parent in a decision about a pregnancy without a law like Proposition 85. And when a teenager comes to an organization like Planned Parenthood without a parent, the first question that's asked is, where's your mom, where's your dad, and how do we get them involved? And so Planned Parenthood believes in parental involvement in most cases. But the sad reality is that recent studies indicate that the most underreported crime in California is domestic violence. It is present in almost 1 out of 4 households. And the sad reality is that when you tell a teenager who is a victim of domestic violence, for whom the only parent in their life might be the guy who caused the pregnancy, that they now have a constitutional requirement to go back and involve that parent in the pregnancy, it often puts them at grave danger. And we have the experience of other states to know that teenagers in that situation are not going to go seek the counseling and the medical care that they need, They're going to resort to desperate measures. They're going to delay access to medical care. They're going to travel long distances. And you can bet that teenagers in Los Angeles are going to hop on an Amtrak and they're going to go to Tijuana and they're going to buy, RU-486 right off the pharmacy shelf with no doctor's supervision.
Okay,
That's
Vince,
bad.
give Jessica a chance here.
First of all, the way that the law currently exists, if a teenage girl is in fact in one of these terrible situations where she may be a victim of abuse in her own home, what happens to them is Planned Parenthood and other providers give her an abortion and then put her right back into that very dangerous situation.
That's absolutely
Whereas
not true.
proposition...
Let me just clarify one point, because the rhetoric that comes from the other side is contradicted not just by Planned Parenthood, but by the California Medical Association, by the Society for Adolescent Medicine. The physicians' associations have all come out in opposition to 85 because this argument is fundamentally not true.
Let me ask one question, though, because you mentioned it on the get-go coming in, and we're coming to the end of the segment. And abortion in this country right now is always a big issue, and some people are very worried about what's happening with the conservative Supreme Court. Is this Prop 85 a way to nudge into that whole controversy and to help the anti-abortion people who've had to sit with this law for 30 years?
This is a concern that's often raised by the opposition, but the fact is that 30 other states have these laws on the books and have for over 20 years. And Roe versus Wade is as strong as it's ever been. We haven't seen these inroads being made. And so the idea that somehow this is going to overturn Roe versus Wade is simply absurd.
That's an amazing claim. I've got documents from the Yes on 85 campaign in which they say that this is part of an effort to whittle away at Roe v. Wade, a constitutional amendment that the courts cannot overturn, and a pro-life measure. Voters should know that voting no on 85 is a way of protecting a law that's been with us since Ronald Reagan was the governor of California. He signed the Therapeutic Abortion Act that made abortion legal, and this law puts vulnerable teenagers from dangerous homes in real danger.
This is a really serious subject, but I want to ask you quick because they're going to send us to the break. What was the vote last time around when your people tried to get this through?
It was within 5 percentage points. I think it was 47% against and 43% in favor.
Conservative turnout would help you.
Absolutely.
Actually, the margin was larger, but we believe that according to all the recent polls, this is neck and neck, and we ask voters to vote no on 85 so that they can help to preserve a woman's right to choose in California.
And we ask for them to vote yes to help protect young girls.
I got it. And this is one of the races, one of the situations we should be watching. I thank you both for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Okay. All right, a tight race on that one. Next up, Sherry Bibich Jiffy and Robert Stern. Bob Stern on the ballot propositions, a jungle guide for when you do parachute into the ballot booth. Come back.